Okay. And so you are in this 2-year program and you're also deciding you want to be certified. So tell us what that meant. That meant like the program itself and then additional.
Yeah. So I finished the program and then I had to do a clinical fellowship year. It wasn't really a year, it was like 9 months. I think you have to meet a certain hour requirement, which you can do within 9 months. So I ended up working at a skilled nursing facility because as far as I was concerned, I was going to work with adults. For some reason, I liked adults. I liked the medical side of speech. I did clinical placements for children just to be prepared because I knew there weren't many speech therapists in Jamaica and I would possibly have to work with children. But I was hell-bent on being in an adult setting. So I worked at a skilled nursing facility. And I worked with people with dementia, people who had a stroke, swallowing difficulties, that sort of thing. So I did that for 9 months. That was a whole trip too, because I got placed in Winston-Salem and I lived in Greensboro, so it required a commute for someone who didn't have a car or a driver's license. And I was convinced that I was going to take the bus from Greensboro to Winston-Salem, and then I realized that didn't make any sense. So I said, maybe I'll Uber. And then my roommate said, Alexia, I think you just have to get your driver's license. And I was like, but I don't want to drive on the wrong side of the road. We figured it out. I got my driver's license. I bought a car.
Oh my goodness.
A 2001 Chevy Impala, a red Chevy Impala. I bought it for $800 US.
Oh my goodness.
And his name was Elmo.
Oh my gosh, Elmo. You brought our girl through.
Yeah.
Elmo was. That's amazing.
Elmo kind of brought me through. Elmo liked to break down. Elmo forever left me stranded.
Oh my gosh. Good times, Elmo. Okay, so you were working at this, and what's the funny acronym? Not acronym. What's it? You say SNF?
SNF, yeah.
You're working at a SNF.
Skilled nursing
facility, yeah. And so you were there, and so tell me more. Like you told me that you had patients. So these are mostly Black patients.
Yeah.
And they're sometimes having other comorbidities with that cause their thing or go with it. So you had to kind of help to manage that in some cases.
Yes,
I guess tell us more about that experience.
Okay, so I can tell you about my favorite patient.
Yeah.
Don't tell the other patients I said. So he was diagnosed with I think it was congestive heart failure, but he also had COPD, which is a respiratory difficulty, and he had a cannula, so he was getting oxygen. He was on 2 liters of oxygen, so a lot of oxygen. And he was often going to the hospital because he had aspiration pneumonia, meaning whatever he was eating or drinking was going into his lungs, settling and resulting in him getting pneumonia, right? And he had a specific diet where he was on nectar-thick liquids that would be safer for him to consume. But every day he would come down and he would go to the vending machine and buy himself some soda. And so he went out to the hospital for aspiration pneumonia, and he came back in and he ended up on my caseload, because once you go to the hospital, you end up back, you start receiving your services, so physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. So he was back on my caseload, and he was resistant, he was resilient, he was non-compliant, but I wore him down. And I was like, listen, I'm begging you, just take your meds, just do what you have to do, start thickening up your food. And he goes, but I like soda, they don't thicken up my soda. And we made a deal. I said, if you come to me, I will thicken your soda. I don't care what time of the day it is, I don't care what I'm doing, I will thicken your soda. And we had that relationship to the point where even when he was off my caseload, he would wheel himself to the elevator, he'd come downstairs, he'd go and get the soda, and he'd wheel himself over to me, and I'd thicken it up for him. So yeah, that was my boy.
That's awesome. I'm happy that you're able to do that.
I keep whacking this mic. Sorry.
You know, for a patient, and that goes to show like the kind of care, like caregiver, if you will, or medical professional that you are. And we'll come back to that a little bit more. So tell us a little bit more about, so you were working in this skilled nursing facility, and what did it take? So the exams you had to study, or was it kind of as long as you're doing the hours, you kind of get this thing at the end?
Okay, so the timeline. So if you do grad school, kind of towards the end of grad school, you have to take the praxis, which is the speech therapy certifying exam. You pass the praxis, you become a speech therapist. So I did that. I passed the praxis.
Of course.
And then you have to register for the state. So I've got licensed by the state of North Carolina. You have to meet your clinical or requirements. So I think you had to do 20 hours of evaluation for children for speech, 20 hours evaluation for children for language, 20 hours evaluation for speech for adults, 20 hours evaluation speech for language for adults, and then you have to do the same 20 but for treatment. So I think you come up with, it was your 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020s. So a lot of practical hours is what it sums up to. And in both speech, language, in working with children and working with adults. So North Carolina has very intense requirements, but if you're going to be in healthcare, you have to prove that you want to be in healthcare, and you have to have that experience as well. So we did that. So you have your OH practical placement, you finished all your required college courses, and then after that, the certification process is optional. So you can graduate, do your practice, and be state licensed without doing the certificate of clinical competence. I opted to do that. So I am Alexia Blair, MA, ccc-slp.
Oh my God.
I like
she's fancy. She's fancy. So no, I love that.
So we did that, and then that's why I ended up at the SNF, so I could get the C's. So I had a supervisor who would check in with me every couple of, I think it was every month. I don't remember, but we checked in with each other. She signed off on my hours. If I had troubles when I was at the SNF, I could talk to her. And I still message her. She's actually getting married this year.
Give her a shout out.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Jessica. Thanks for everything.
She's coming to Jamaica for her honeymoon. So congratulations, early.
Congrats. Have a good time.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did this thing, you have all these letters now, and I guess just for a point of clarification, could you define for us what a speech language pathologist does for evaluations, like summarize, and also what they do for treatments?
Okay, so
and the types of patients you see.
How much time you have?
give us the 2-minute spiel.
Okay, so we work with adults, we work with children. For an evaluation, you are looking at which areas are strengths, which areas are weaknesses. So for example, if I'm working with an adult who has difficulty with swallowing, ideally, we could do a visual. So you could do a FEES, so fiber optic endoscopic swallow, evaluation of swallow. So you put a camera through the nose, you look down, you give them samples of liquids and solids, and then you watch the swallow actually happen in live time and see if it goes down the right way. So that's an example of one of the things. If I'm working with a child who, for example, has an articulation difficulty, you go through the different speech sounds, and there are standardized tests. You do a speech sound assessment, so you show them words or pictures. That, for example, you show them a ball for the sound B, right? And you listen to how they say the different speech sounds. If they say it clearly, it's right. If they say it incorrectly, it's wrong, but you make note if they make an approximation. So for example, if a kiddo is trying to say, what's a good approximation? R. So if they're saying carrot and they say carrot, that's an approximation versus cowot is wrong, okay? So there's that. You can look at the language development. So how are they using language? Are they using full sentences? Are they using a word to refer to everything? So you look at the different breakdowns in that, and there are, again, standardized assessments with that as well. You could do a criterion reference test where it's like, okay, by age X, X should be mastered. If the kiddo has that or they don't have that, then you start doing some intervention. You could do a cognitive screen or a cognitive evaluation as well. So for example, if somebody has a traumatic brain injury, or if they have dementia or they're showing early signs of dementia, you look at their cognition, see what's missing. If they're having difficulty with like spatial awareness, you could do an assessment on that too to see which areas they're having a gap in. That's a lot, right?
Yeah. I asked because I know there are a lot of things you do, right? And somebody just thinks, oh, I can't speak properly, so I come to you and you just tell me what to do and then I speak properly. Or we do these activities, and then sometimes it is that, but sometimes there are all these things for proper diagnosis, proper like evaluation before treatment. So I specifically asked that so we could know what it is, you know, and you've only touched the surface.
Barely scratched.
Yeah. So I know this is all over the place, but there's so many interesting things that I want to know. So I guess you did tell me previously that you would come back to Jamaica and you'd work in a public hospital in summers and that gave you experience, and you also were volunteering with them. Were you volunteering while you were in school, or that was after?
It was after. So I was here working full time, and I'd go and I'd see a couple of patients. I'd see a couple of patients at the hospital.
Wait, before we come to that, let's talk about, okay, you have everything you need now from the US. Were you ever tempted to stay there?
There was like a momentary like lapse, teeny tiny one, where I was considering it, staying for like a year, to the point where the SNP that I was working at, they actually had difficulties finding another speech therapist. There should have been 2 on staff. I was the only one there, so I had a full caseload. So they wanted me to stay there, and I really liked working there. Funding was good, and I loved the patients, had a good relationship with the patients and the staff as well. So I really wanted to stay. And my director, I said, I will stay if they will cover my the process of the visa and that sort of thing, work permit. And they said they'd do it. And then last minute I was like, but I want to go home. I really, really wanted to go home. And it just so happened that I came home during COVID. So it was just a weird transitional period.
Gotcha.
If I knew now what I knew then, if I knew then what I knew now, there we go. I probably would have stayed there, figured things out, and then come back after. But again, I jump in with both feet, everything I do, and then I figure my way out. And it's been a steady trend, so I changed it now. So I came home, found a job, started working, started seeing patients, started sneaking into the hospital, volunteering.
Slow down. We're gonna get to all of that, because I think you quickly just say you came home, found a job, but I feel like for most people it's not that easy, even with the novelty of being from abroad, right? Let's face it, a lot of times people get really excited to have someone who's been trained abroad, but sometimes they're just not vacancies, or but I think was it because there was such a need for your field?
I feel like things just lined up for me in that. So my uncle knew someone who also Jamaica run bindings. Found a position for me, and then my best friend, she was working with someone who needed a speech therapist, and that's how I landed another job. So in fact, I found 2 jobs one time, and in my back of my mind, I always said, if all else fails, I can start a private practice. But I didn't feel like I was ready for that yet. I got used to the foreign life, things happening easily. But I don't think I was ready to set up, establish, and work. And I needed to do something under somebody else's supervision, kind of bumble around a bit, get comfortable, get confident, get more experience before venturing off on my own. So I was just lucky. Things just worked. Things just worked.
Or blessed, whichever way you want to look at it. So you're back, and was there anything outside of work, like personally, were there any adjustments, or was it just kind of like I was back? Did you take a break when you just came back? I mean, I know it was COVID.
The break I took was not intentional. So again, I came back during COVID. I had the 2-week what do you call it? It's been so long. Isolation?
Oh, quarantine.
Quarantine! Wow! I blocked 2020 from my mind. Quarantine. I had to quarantine for 2 weeks. And then I think during my quarantine is when somebody called me about the job. But I also had to apply for my license to work in Jamaica, and that took a while to come. I had to establish a bank account. And that, you asked me about difficulties with transitioning. When I was abroad, I got 2 bank accounts, one in New York when I was in New York, and one in Greensboro. And for both of them, I got the bank account just showing them my travel documents. And then whenever I went in bank, the tellers looked at me like I was foreign. Like, they don't know what to do. Why are you here? Why do you need us? And that there was never a line. I just walk right up to the counter. And then I come back to Jamaica, and they want my birth certificate, they want ID, they want referral letter, they want JP signature, they want proof of payment, all kind of something. And then you go there and they want proof of address and you have to go back another day. And I was just like, I couldn't go into a bank without losing it. I'm like, why is it like this?
Right.
What is this for?
Right.
And it's never ever like, okay, we'll do this process, send us that by email. No, you have to come back. To this day, I don't go in banks. Like, if, like, this tempted to just save my money under the mattress. I don't like banks.
That is fair.
Don't like banks.
That is fair.
Trauma.
Yeah.
It don't matter which bank.
Yeah, they're all bad. Out here, they're all pretty bad. You just have to pick the best. Whichever one you got in with first, you just work with them most of the time. But we're not here to talk about that.
No.
So, okay, you're back. And so, for the most part, you just kind of hit the ground running, you'd say?
That's pretty much, yeah. So once I got my license, I was good to go, and I went.
Yeah, I love that. So you were working at one place, and then you started volunteering at somewhere, and then it became more than
all over the place. So I was working at a school in South Savannah, Lamar Inclusive,
which is in Westmoreland. You're from Kingston. Let's
Yeah.
stop and explain. Okay, because you're essentially coming from one of the most eastern parts of the country, going to one of the most western parts.
Yeah.
And you would drive.
Yes. So my grandaunt gave me her car. Because the took's better than Elmo. Took's better than Elmo. And so it left me on road too, couple times. Well.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So I would Olaf and I would drive down to South. I like driving, so I didn't mind the commute at all. And I had the choice of I could go North Coast or I could go South Coast, and the view was good. I'd put on an audiobook and I'd be driving with my audiobook. It was nice. I loved it. I drive down on a Sunday, see students Monday, Tuesday, and I drive back up Tuesday night. My mom didn't like that. She's like, just wait until Wednesday. I said, no, yeah, come on my yard. Like, I spent too much time away from home. I'm coming home now. So I drive back in on Tuesday evening. Wednesday was my day off, and then I'd start working at Revamp Comprehensive Thursday, Friday, half day Saturday, and then repeat the process.
So how long was the drive on average?
To South? 4 hours. I hear you can do it in less time, but
yeah, no, that's not do that. Don't do that, folks.
I have to take care of Marion or Aubrey one picnic, so we were safe on these roads.
Yes, I love that.
So it's 4 hours, 4 tranquil hours, just time to myself, thinking, planning, just reflective. Yeah, like I didn't mind the drive at all. Like I like driving, so it's good.
No, that's good. And I think for some people, a lot of people, it's very therapeutic. You have people who literally are going through something, they'll just get in the car and drive. But also, I'm framing what was going on for you professionally. So you had 2 jobs at the time, and this was because there was a client. You got the opportunity for 2 jobs, but there was always a client need.
Yes. I was lucky. Again, there's never. Yes, there's an ebb and flow, but I tend to have a pretty steady caseload, regardless of where I am, because a lot of people don't know of the need until they need it. Yeah. But once you need it, there's always a steady flow, right? So I've never been out of work.
Homegirl said she'll never be broke. Did you hear that? Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. Yeah.
So it's rewarding, and it's rewarding. That's what it is. But I enjoy what I do. Yeah. A lot, and it's because I can work with different age groups and different disorders. It's never a dull moment. It's never the same day twice. And my kiddos keep me on my toes. Somehow I ended up working with children.
Let's pause there because you said you didn't want to. Like, if you had a choice, you wouldn't. But you said you spoke to a colleague who was like, specialization isn't really a thing because there's just the need is there. Was that a hard pill to swallow, or did you kind of just accept it and keep going?
You know, it's because I knew that going into it. I made sure that my practicum placements were varied. So I worked with adults, I worked with children, and then the North Carolina requirements required you to work with adults and work with children as well. So I was equipped to come back and work with children. And then I came home, and like my very first patient ran into the room, and I think he hugged me or something, and I was like, all right, it's not so bad. And I've slowly warmed up some more, and I think that if any of my patients' parents watch this and see that I didn't want to work with children, they would come in and tell me I'm a liar. Because I am really good with my kids.
You're really good.
I'm good with my kids.
You're good. Yeah. And I just feel like you're the kind of person who just attracts kids. Like you're colorful.
I am a kid.
Yeah, I just feel like, but
they think I'm one of them. And I'm pretty sure they think I'm one of them. And sometimes I think I'm one of them too. So if they're on the floor rolling around, I'm on the floor rolling around.
But that's what works. That's what they need. That's what they like.
Listen, no wrinkles. They keep me on.
I love that. Okay, so you're here, you're working, and what's the point at which you decide I'm not going to work for anybody else? I'm going to start my practice, which is called
Hello! Speech therapy.
Hello.
There's an exclamation mark, so you have to.
Hello!
Yes.
Speech therapy.
Just like that. I always wanted to do a private practice. When I came home, I registered a company name. Yeah, I did. My aunt's going to kill me. She didn't like the name. I called it multi-massive speech therapy because I wanted something cultural.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Right, multi-massive, but it just never wasn't meant to be. And I
Someone's gonna steal that.
I also listen, it's up for grabs. I chickened out, truly. And I was just kind of, it's fine. And then I kind of waffled around. I was working with another company, and then again, jumping with both feet. I was looking around at different places, and I found a location that just happened to be the dentist that I used to go to when I was younger. I was like, I have to work here now. So I found a location that worked for me, and it just really and truly, it just happened.
Yeah.
I can't even pinpoint like when I said, okay, I'm going to start my private practice. It just happened.
Gotcha.
It's like I woke up one morning and I had a private practice in front of me.
That's so funny. But I guess what you spoke earlier about, when you just came back, knowing you needed some time to get confidence and to just understand this cultural space in Jamaica, understand the business practice, all of those things. Like, do you feel when you started, yes, the opportunity was there, but do you feel like you were ready
to work or just
no, to be on your own as a private practice?
Like when
I'm asking you, like, what was the point at it happened? There was an opportunity.
Yeah.
Things weren't, you also just got kind of pushed into it.
Yeah.
But were you like
mentally ready?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I feel like I just woke up and there was a private practice.
Got you.
And it's the same thing of jumping with both feet. It's just like,
you know what? You're so brave. No, I don't mean. I'm so serious right now. I'm so serious right now. You're so brave, and I hope that you don't lose that, because I feel like it takes people like you to like make a difference in a society.
Locks.
And I know you don't even set out to do that, right? But there are some kids today, there's some grown people today who are getting like quality world-class speech therapy because of what you've done.
Wow.
And I hope that you don't ever stop. Like don't start second guessing everything now. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Boy, probably it's like a level of stupidity.
It's insanity.
Delusion. Listen,
I like to say
I'm a permanent resident of 8 Delulu Avenue. That is my official address.
You know what? It's so funny you say that, because somebody said to me, "Oh, so how do you do?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I'm a little bit crazy." But nowadays they like to say, they don't say that. They say they're a little delusional.
Yeah.
So may we forever be.
I'm very delusional.
May we forever be a little delusional.
Yeah. So I knew I wanted a private practice at some point.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think I called an accountant, and my dad's an accountant. He referred me to somebody, and she was just like, "Okay, we can start a company for you." And I was like, "Okay." And then she started the company for me. I was like, "Okay, I guess so. I have a private practice." And then I found a place. I found a location.
Yeah.
It really just.
It happened.
Snowball effect,
yeah.
and things just kept falling into place.
And so your patients who you'd seen before at other practices at the hospital, they just like...
They said, anywhere you're going with, we're going with you. Yeah, so I don't think anybody didn't come. Everybody just
They just can't.
They relocated. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Listen, my babies.
Yeah.
My babies. Couldn't be my babies.
Because it's one thing to start a business, but until you get that clientele, but essentially you've done the work before. So when they came over, you were like, hey, open arms.
And
come
then,
on in.
At some point, my number got out. So I was getting calls regularly. So I really wasn't worried.
Yeah.
It would figure itself out.
Yeah.
Things figure themselves out. And I have a very lovely assistant who I've now handed my phone over
Big her up right now, please.
Anicia, I
Anicia.
love you. Never leave me. Never.
Well, she followed you, didn't she?
Yeah.
We won't talk about that too much, but she followed you.
Yeah, she's my brain. She's not allowed to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love her. Love her.
Anicia. And thanks for your hospitality. And so you're here today and you're running this. How long has it been now?
July, August. 7
months. June is gonna come around real quick. Let's believe it. And in that 7 months, you've achieved so many things. You've steady clients. Everyone's pleased.
We're paying rent.
You're paying rent.
We haven't gotten
evicted.
evicted.
That's real. What did you tell me about the first month?
It wasn't very smart starting a business in June because that's my slow period because all my kiddos, they're either traveling or they're off on summer break, so it's a very unsteady. And yes, technically I can fill the slot with another patient, but it's like I have to put those patients after.
You have to maintain.
Yeah. So we floated. We made it through. Everybody got paid. Nobody never got paid hungry, and I didn't get evicted.
That's not a small thing. That's not a small thing.
Yeah.
Summer's ruined many businesses.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's not gloss over that. Okay, so let's talk about some things that you, I guess, before we talk about tips for anybody who wants to go back home, let's talk a little bit about if there's anything that you saw when you were working in the US that you wish was a little bit more commonplace now. Here.
Insurance.
Yes.
Okay. In the schools, there's speech therapists in the schools covered by insurance. You have, if you go into a skilled nursing, so if you go to the hospital, there's a speech therapist. Acute care, you have your outpatient, you have your inpatient speech therapist. If you leave the hospital and you go to a skilled nursing facility, there's speech therapists there as well. And then that was funded by your insurance. For example, insurance would cover the first 100 days. Just one example. Some insurances do that. So your first 100 days fully covered by your insurance. So it's not coming straight out of pocket like it is for a lot of people here. And then what is covered by insurance is far more broad there than locally. So for example, if locally might not cover stuttering. They'll cover your expressive and receptive language delays, but not necessarily stuttering. Abroad, they don't care. Speech difficulty, once you can prove it is affecting your academic success, you get coverage. Fully. What else? There's a number of speech therapists as well, because again, hospital, multiple in the hospitals, skilled nursing facility, in the school, there's no shortage. So then people call on often and ask, why is there a wait list? There are 8 of us, right? And not everyone,
in the country?
In the country. And
most of them are in Kingston, I bet.
Right.
That's
There's
crazy.
one in Montego Bay, one in Ocho Rios. Don't vex with me if I forget somebody, but I think those are the Kingston, Ocho Rios, Malay.
Pause. Kids, you're thinking about some things you don't, you like talking to people, helping people.
Please, we're begging.
Parents, your kids, Norman Manley doesn't need any more students. The medical school doesn't need any more students. So here is something that your students can do. They won't go broke. If all you're concerned about is money, they won't go broke. They won't be hungry. But there is a need.
There's a desperate need.
Okay. Back to you, Alexia.
And I'm happy you said that because my parents, while I was abroad, they're funding my schooling in, and they're like, boy, Alexia, you can't come home in, okay? You're not going to find no work. And I'm like, I don't care what you say, I'm going to come home and I will find no work.
Because that's so real.
Yeah.
It happens a lot, right? A lot of parents, they send it and they support, because these are the ones who are supportive. They support anything you do, but it's like when you're coming back to the developing country, we've never heard of anyone doing this, or there are only so many. We have only so many resources. Are you going to find a job? Which is ultimately what your parents want for you. So yes, that highlights again that you were truly blessed and fortunate, and rightly so. But also that, you know, sometimes take a leap of faith, parents, with your kids, take a leap of faith, and it will work out. Yeah.
Kids, be stubborn. Be like me. Mommy and daddy, I'm sorry. But I'm stubborn. Very, 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 very stubborn. My mom calls me her determined brute.
I love that. But she says it with love.
With love.
I know.
As much love.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a cherished nickname of mine now. I'm her determined brute because I am, anything I put my mind to,
you're gonna do.
I'm going to do it. Yeah. Jumping in with both feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've converted. My dad is now my accountant. So.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Oh my god.
You know, mixed feelings because I wanted to buy decorations for Christmas and he told me
like,
no.
So I love that. Daddy, this year, 2024, she wants Christmas decorations.
Decorations apple.
Please.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
She's doing well. Okay. And it helps the ambiance. The kids really, really love that.
Right.
All right.
So we're getting decorations.
He's gonna reconsider.
Yes.
All right. So you know, we were just talking about like things that is there anything else that you would have liked to see or like to see here that was there? And I know you were coming. We're not. She's not purely talking from like foreign and everything is there because the skilled nursing facility, they did have fewer resources.
Yes. So the SNF that I was at was in a low economic area. So the patients you saw also low economic patients. So I feel like it was the perfect transitional point because the SNF I was at in grad school was a little hoity-toity and they had all the resources plus tax. So I went from that to the SNF.
Yeah, you said you were getting lunch every day.
Yeah, they had lunch.
They had snacks for you.
Yeah, it was great. And then when I went to do trials, I didn't have to worry about where the food was or it was just ready for me. I could go to the cupboard and get it myself. Just easy access versus the second SNF I was at. Just a little more, I had to fight a little harder. And it taught me some, you know, like interpersonal skills.
Yeah.
You befriend the nurses. You're friends with the nurses. They're friends with you, and then look up with that kind of thing. So you learn how to work with different people.
And not that it's bad, but isn't life weird like that? It's really people. Like the way that it boils down to, it's really people who make the world go round. So things could be really hard for you if you just say good morning to people or just like ask if you can stop and help somebody for 2 minutes, help them, because it's really someone else. And not that you're doing things for favors, but just be good to people and they will.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
So it was, and remember I said I was shy before I went. So all of these interactions with people and learning how to work with people and reading emotions and that sort of thing, it kind of equipped me to come back and be this bright, beautiful, loving person that you see right now, who was very timid before.
Yeah.
I think I blossomed in my time away.
Yeah.
And I think a part of that is with spending time abroad, being in a different culture and interacting with different people. Kind of, you're more comfortable being you. You're not in that sort of box. You know, we're kind of close-minded locally. That anything different is just like, why you stay so? So like I get asked often if I'm Jamaican or if I was born or raised here because my hair is blue. And
you're very like, you're out there, not in a bad, but you are expressive. That's the word I'd say. Follow her on Twitter. No, you have such a effervescent, like you hear people throw that word around, but it's literally just, and not effervescent, like there's cherry, but also like there's just more coming out. There's just more coming out. Like I feel like
I like that one.
There's just more coming out. Like you're recommending songs, and it's like you're sharing the list of things that you're doing for this year, like 30 things, and you're like, there's so much. That's like,
I get bored easily is what it is. So I have to constantly keep myself entertained.
Yeah, but that's fine. Yes. We're also entertained.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right, so let's wrap up. I think the final thing I want to know from you is for anybody who's thinking about coming home. It might be Jamaica home, or it might be anywhere else after being away for a long time. What are some tips? 3, if you could give 3.
3 tips. Wow, exam. Ooh. 3 tips. Like if you're like, are they on the fence and I'm supposed to convince them?
No, you're not convincing anybody. Okay. Everybody's grown. They can make their own decisions. Okay. We're saying they are coming.
Okay.
But you're saying, what could you do to make it easier or to help yourself? What do you wish you knew? Stuff like that.
Don't go to the bank hungry. Don't be hungry going into the bank. What else did I wish I knew? So this is very Jamaica specific, but the traffic you left is not the traffic you come back and see.
It's real. There's so many more cars on the road.
So, and the K plates.
The K
plates. I drive a K plate, but I'm not one of them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What else?
So to fill anybody in, so the licensing system, they go alphabetically, and so I think we're still in the K's right now.
We're L now. I saw L.
So L's were L's, but K's were the last. But basically, the newer drivers, they're just a little bit. They're
green.
Yeah.
And they're very confident in the green.
Sorry.
Yes, Lord.
So that was. So the cars, the traffic.
The traffic is great, and look out for the K plates, the fits and the vits, and the taxi.
She called car brand. She called names.
Listen, and the man's. What else? I need to give you a serious one, a serious thought-provoking one.
Or not? What's the way you feel?
What is the spirit telling me to say? Be you. Be you. Don't feel like you need to. I think when you go abroad for school, you're like a bush and you've grown, and then when you come back home, it's like you feel the need to prune yourselves to fit into this sort of box. Nobody putting a clip up on you. Grow and be as bushy and as wild and as free and as loving as you want to be, and be unapologetically yourself. See, we had to have something profound at the end.
I love that. No, it's profound. It's so real. I think you're an embodiment of that.
Yes.
I never met this girl before, but I can tell you, I love seeing her on my timeline when she goes out to parties and stuff locally. She's preparing for Carnival now.
Carnival, yes!
I'm looking forward to the content. I can't wait.
Listen.
I can't wait. When I see the blue hair, I just know I'm going to just have a good time watching the content. But anyways. Is there anything else you want to share?
Socials?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. My socials are like business socials or every socials?
Let's do business first.
Business first, okay.
Because I will also you can find her links down below, both her personal and her business social media handles.
Okay, so for business links at Hello Speech Therapy Ltd. That's Instagram. Gmail, so at Hello Speech Therapy Ltd. No, Hello Speech Therapy Ltd. at gmail.com. I think that's it for socials. On Facebook too, but we're building a Facebook profile. We're getting there.
No problem.
On Instagram, for me, I am at Lextroverted.
Yeah, and Twitter also.
I'm at the Lextroverted. At Lextroverted B. There we go. That's Instagram, and Twitter is at Lextroverted.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yes, thank you.
And I love your earrings. I've already complimented you.
Thank you.
Can we plug the plug?
Okay, so this is Chrissy Coils. Yes. So I have the hibiscus and the franny panny. Love Chrissy's Coils.
Yeah, so these are made from wire, and they are Jamaican flowers.
Yes.
Hibiscus, if you didn't notice, that's what it is.
I love them.
So thank you for a delightful conversation.
Thank you for having me.
For everybody who's been watching us week after week and you have not subscribed, please subscribe. And thank you again for watching. Please share with friends, and for any part of this conversation that really resonated with you, leave a comment to say what it was, the timestamp, so somebody else can get to it really quickly. And just thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.